Hatfield, 2035, episode 3. Broken Two Fingers, Gadget and Tag were still talking, standing in the glare of a nearby bonfire. It was very late at night. "Let's all get a good night's sleep," suggested the exhausted leader of the Sticks. "We'll head off towards Gravetown tomorrow afternoon." "The guys need a bath and a change of clothes first," suggested Gadget. "Otherwise they will think we are scavengers and shoot us on the spot. We have to pass through the old ghost town first anyway," replied Fingers. "Let's search for derelict shops and find us some new clothes." "They're all boarded up," found Tag. His hair was stuck spiky like a parrot with axle grease and painted in fluorescent blue, pink and yellow spray paints. Broken Tooth pulled a steel hammer from its thigh-high holster. "We can always use this to pull the nails out or smash the wood or windows. Don't worry too much. I'm sure that Bumper has a few more tools in his belt." He lit his stinging little cigarettes with a twig from the fire. Broken Tooth turned to Witch Hazel. She was busy trying to stay warm in the gentle summer's rain, warming her hands by the dying embers of tonight's bonfire. The young woman stood up. "Can I come with you?" she asked. "Tinker is my son after all," she smiled at Broken Tooth. The middle-aged man laughed and raised 7 fingers into the air. "You've been watching too much television," chuckled Witch Hazel. "I'm going to bed." "I'll cook you breakfast at lunchtime before we go," she suggested. "What's on the menu?" asked the leader of the Sticks. "Rat burgers and pigeon egg omelettes on stale toast," replied Witch Hazel, the gang's housekeeper. "Same as yesterday then," chuckled Broken Tooth. "Good night. We've still got one hell of a journey ahead of us." "Sweet dreams," yawned the young, skinny, pretty woman, blinking her eyes in tiredness. Chapter 4. The Ghost Town. After 1 hour of walking in the early afternoon the following day, the 7 Sticks reached the outskirts of the ghost town. A sign near a roundabout read, Welcome to Hatfield, twin towns with Syrixy." Broken Tooth, Witch Hazel, Bumper, Gadget, Fingers, Tag and Razors stood around the signpost, scratching their chins. "Better watch out for the scavengers," suggested Broken Tooth, grinning towards his pals. "Don't be afraid to use your weapons either," enunciated Razor. "Those loony freaks are probably cannibals." The rest of the group looked very, very worried. Broken Tooth broke down into a fit of giggles, falling to his knees and clutching his chest with both hands. "He's taken the piss, you pricks. Been watching too many of Pugh's zombie movies again," he chuckled. "Just ignore the scavengers," suggested Broken Tooth. "They're just trying to stay alive, same as us, back at the dump." Witch Hazel breathed a heavy sigh of relief. "He had me worried for a moment there," she sighed. Fingers tapped the skinny woman on the shoulder and whispered into her ear, "Wait until we get to Gravetown," he paused. "Then you will really have something to worry about." 2 12-story derelict tower blocks dominated the skyline of the ghost town. And above them, in the distance, like huge enormous concrete giants, stood the 25-story flats of Gravetown, half hidden by the early evening mist. Faint green glow, the lights of Hope City, glimmering in the silvery blue of the cool summer's moon. The Sticks stood in the centre of White Lion Square, gazing at the derelict boarded-up shops. Witch Hazel rested her fists on her waist. "I expect the shops all closed down after the economic collapse of 2017, she suggested. "I grew up in this town," laughed Broken Tooth. "In fact, I was born here in 1990. I spent the first 35 of my years living on a council estate across the road." He breathed a heavy sigh. "Most of these shops have been closed ever since I was a kid." A gust of wind blew across the square. The screwed up pages of old newspapers and litter floated in the breeze. It began to rain. There was a clash of thunder. "We had better find some shelter for the night," suggested Razor. "Otherwise we're going to end up with pneumonia when we wake up in the morning." Tag pointed down the street towards a large, beige-bricked, glass-roofed building. Most of the supermarket's windows were smashed and cracked, and the shattered glass roof was leaking. The rain was getting heavier. Splashes of teardrops thundering down on the empty shelves, long since looted by the local scavengers. A bolt of silver-blue lightning lit the sky for a few seconds. "We're not going to find much shelter in there," frowned Bumper, scratching his balding head. A sign above the entrance of the supermarket read Asda. Fingers kicked from the empty Coca-Cola can with his left foot. Clank, clank, clank went the can rolling towards the wall. "We ain't going to find no food in here either," sighed the teenage youth. It looked like the scavengers got there first. Gadget rested his hand on the youth's shoulder. "Don't get worked up about it. 15 or 20 years out of date anyway." Razor pointed to a nearby dirty white tower block just around the corner from the supermarket. Gadget stared at the security lock guarding the entrance of Queensway House. "I might be able to hack into this fucking thing if I knew where to start," he bit his bottom lip. "Could pull it out of the wall with a crowbar if you like," suggested Bumper, the stick's mechanic. Broken Tooth wandered down the darkened alley. He stood in the centre of the marketplace and pointed to a flat high up in the residential tower block. The bright orange flickering glow of a burning fire illuminating the balcony on the left-hand side. "Look up there," he shouted. "That's where old Bill lives." The rest of the gang ran towards the leader. "Hello!" shouted Razor, with his hands clasped over his nose. "Is there somebody up there?" The rain was getting very heavy now, and the sticks were soaked to the bone, their dirty torn rags dripping wet. There was no reply. All 7 of the sticks in the group gazed at each other and shouted in unison, "Hello! Are you up there?" at the top of their voices. An old man, wearing a tattered red and grey postman's uniform, leaned over the balcony of a flat on the 9th floor of the tower block. "What the fuck do you want?" shouted the tired old man. "Can you let us in?" shouted Broken Tooth. "There's pissing cats and dogs out here." "Do you know what time it is?" yelled the retired postman. "No," replied Broken Tooth. The old man chuckled. "Neither do I," he laughed. "I don't even know what fucking year it is," he coughed. "My watch broke a hell of a long time ago." "Is there an empty flat where we can sleep in tonight?" shouted Tag, one of the younger sticks. He was 15 years old with spiky ginger hair and a freckled face. With spiky multicoloured hair and a freckled face. The postman nodded. "All the flats are empty. They've been abandoned for years, ever since Gravetown was completed in 2027. All the others' neighbours scarpered off there to look for work after the sky-high towers were constructed by the Housing Association." "Can we please come in?" screamed an exasperated Broken Tooth, "before we die of flu?" The old man nodded. "Flat 50, 9th floor," he paused. "Actually, I'd better come down and open the door myself. I haven't had any electricity since 2016, when the electricity company had a short circuit and closed down." "Let us in!" yelled Gadget in an angry tone. The retired postman breathed a heavy sigh. "Don't rush me, young man. It's going to take me 10 minutes to walk down those fucking stairs. I ain't as young as I used to be." He disappeared.